So this is weird. Tesla, who, as we know, are just a car company, that's what the experts have been saying for years, seem to be dominating headlines today. Here's the first 3 results I found on YouTube when I searched for Tesla. Tesla's $1 trillion autonomous era begins. The next one, Tesla Robotaxi set to start offering rides on Sunday. And Tesla to launch Robotaxi service. Here's what to expect. Let's see what Dan Ives has to say.
Key for Tesla's growth, justify the multiple. Joining us now is Dan Ives, Wedbush Global Head of Technology Research. Dan, happy Friday.
Great to be here.
So Alphabet's Waymo is way ahead of Tesla on autonomous execution. So how much better does Tesla have to be? You have to believe its model is to believe it's $1 trillion opportunity for Tesla alone.
Yeah, look, Waymo clearly, the big head start, but 4 cities, $230,000 cars, right? I mean, my view is the golden age of autonomous starts on Sunday in Austin for Tesla because it's the scale and scope. I mean, John, my view is like 25 or 30 cities in the next year. And as they start scaling cybercabs and get to true level 4, I believe it's a $1 trillion opportunity valuation for Tesla. And I think this is actually the start of their biggest chapter of growth and actually valuation upside.
Don't they have to be almost perfect to get to 25 to 30 cities within a year, have that kind of scale? And so how do you factor risk into this model too? I mean, to ramp this, Tesla has to first put its own vehicles on the street, but it also wants Tesla owners to offer up their cars as well. Do they need that?
So obviously it's a massive opportunity, $1 trillion plus in terms of valuation. I mean, yeah, that's before the main course. Now, to answer this question and jump the gun here, no, Tesla doesn't need customers to add their own vehicles to a fleet. I've run over these numbers in detail before, but in case you missed that, the actual number of vehicles required to completely own an entire city in the US for rideshare, not just have a portion of the city, is approximately fuck all. Most people have a massively inflated expectation of the number of vehicles. On screen now, these are my own estimates with a little bit of help from some LLM, shout out to Grok. Not numbers pulled out of my ass, but my best estimates for how many vehicles would be needed per city in the United States to have not a slice of the rideshare market, but the entire current rideshare market. By the way, not predicting that's what's going to happen. I just want to show you how low these numbers are. New York, the biggest city in the US by an enormous margin, over 8 million in population. On the low end, less than 100,000 Tesla Robotaxis owns the whole market. On the high end, about 120,000. And I've added a 25% buffer on top of the high end just in case I'm somehow massively underestimating. Even in the absurd buffer case, you still need less than 150,000 vehicles to literally own 100% of rideshare in New York. But of course, New York's an exception to the rule. The vast majority of cities in the US, which by the way are listed here by population, are sub 1 million. I've highlighted a few of these. Phoenix, Arizona, population 1.64 million people. 25 at most 30,000 vehicles and you own the entire rideshare market. Tesla currently produces hundreds of thousands of vehicles per quarter globally. In the US alone, if Tesla wanted to completely dominate a market like, let's say, Phoenix, Arizona, they could do so with give or take a month of production from Giga Texas plus Fremont and have the whole market. Austin, Texas, where the Robotaxi first launches, population, give or take, call it 1 million. Call it somewhere between 10 to 20,000 vehicles and you own the entire market. And again, this isn't to say that's going to happen. What if Tesla got a quarter of rideshare? Cut these numbers. Even in the absurd upside case, the 25% buffer, a quarter of that to have a 25% share of all the ride hail in Austin. Less than 5,000 vehicles on roads. Give or take a week of production from a single factory. 25% of the market taken care of. San Francisco, an even smaller number. Las Vegas, smaller still. And look at all these cities here with populations sub 1 million, 900s of thousands, 800, 7s, the 600,000 range, 500,000. Do you have any idea how simple it will be for Tesla to strategically saturate a market with production, crank out some Model Ys, put them into a new city, meet demand, ensure wait times are not ridiculous, lower cost, dominate, move on to the next city, rinse, recycle, repeat. Let's say hypothetically Tesla wanted to have 100% share of the top 10 markets in the US for rideshare. This is again with that 25% buffer on the high end estimate. So again, this is ridiculously high. It's only 460 odd thousand vehicles. What if instead we start with Austin and then do an additional 9 cities based on population just under that million mark? Austin, Jacksonville, San Jose, Fort Worth, Columbus, Charlotte, Indianapolis, San Francisco, Seattle, and Denver. 162,000 vehicles. That's it, with a massive buffer and for 100% share, which again, we're not talking about that. Tesla's at least initially going to get a portion, not the whole fucking market. If they took a 1/4 share of ride hail In these cities, with a 25% buffer on the high-end estimate, it's only 40,000 vehicles. Globally, Tesla produces 10 times that many vehicles per quarter. At massive scale, the big plus of Tesla having customers add their vehicles to the fleet isn't because it's going to be necessary. It's going to add some of those 4-seater, 5-seater, 6-seater type of options for people to plug the gaps. Obviously, initially Tesla's using Model Ys, but at massive scale, it's going to be the 2-seater Cybercab doing 90+% of all Tesla ride hail, and some of Tesla's Model Ys, Model 3s, and then customer contributing Model 3s, Model Ys, Cybercabs, Model S, and Model X will plug some of those gaps for the rare exceptions when more than 2 passengers are required. And before anyone tries to explain, it's going to be very expensive for Tesla to produce vehicles and operate them as robotaxis, brother, these things will pay for themselves. Worst case, maybe 24 months, more likely within a year. The entire cost to put the vehicle on road repaid in a year, maybe 2 years at worst case. Capital will not be a constraint.
Own vehicles on the street, but it also wants Tesla owners to offer up their cars as well. Do they need that to achieve the profitability that make them worth $1 trillion?
It's a great question. I don't think that they need that. I mean, to me, it's really, when I view cybercabs and where I see this all going, I mean, I think ultimately 20% of the transportation industry, in my view, will be autonomous when we look out the next 6, 7, 10 years. I think Tesla, it starts off with, when you look at what's happening with Cybercab, but ultimately other automakers, they're going to have to OEM that technology from Tesla. So my view is that this is the start. When you think about AI and you think about true AI and really what the golden goose is going to be, autonomous, Tesla, I believe, is going to lead this market handily. And ultimately, it all starts on Sunday with the launch in Austin. But I think it's step by step. They're going to show that they could get true level 4. And I think we're going to look back. Sunday, I think, is a historical moment for Tesla.
Is there room for everyone, though? I mean, we're talking about Tesla looking to Sunday, Waymo, which is obviously deploying in cities and continues to grow its licenses. New York City, for example, earlier this week. You've got the dark horse in all of this, too, which is the Amazon-backed Zoox autonomous fleet that's being built out, too. If you're only talking about potentially 20% of vehicles in the U.S. becoming autonomous in coming years, is there room for everyone? Look,
I think there's room for others, and you're going to have a convergence in terms of transportation tech, just like you talked about. Waymo will clearly be a player. Uber, obviously they'll partner more and more. But I think, look, when it comes to true scale and scope, I don't think anyone matches Tesla. And that's sort of our view, is that where this is going. I mean, you talk about a company, when you think about, 2 million, 1.7, 2 million vehicles per year, Cybercabs, ultimately, this is something that you'll beat 300,000, 400,000, 500,000. And I think that's really true AI. That's why I believe Tesla is the most undervalued AI play in the market today. I don't think the market is valuing this piece.
Hard to argue with Dan on Tesla being the most undervalued AI company on the planet. I think it's safe to say the majority of so-called investors and even analysts haven't taken the time to really grapple with the potential opportunity that robotaxis represent. You guys saw my own estimates for how many vehicles will be required for Tesla to have an entire market to themselves per US city. I've got low-end estimates, high-end estimates, then even a 25% buffer in case I'm completely off the mark somehow. And relative to Tesla's annual rates of production, these are tiny numbers. Today, Waymo's entire global fleet is about 2,000 vehicles, give or take, not even. Globally, Tesla produces about 5,000 vehicles per day. After a very cautious and slow initial rollout in Austin, Tesla's fleet is going to scale at a stupendous rate, shocking most people. Years from now, we're going to be looking back going, how the fuck could we possibly have known that was going to happen? And I want to be clear, the estimates I shared earlier with you guys are intentionally massively overinflated, even the low side. For example, we've recently learned that Waymo has more than 600 vehicles operating in San Francisco and has just recently captured a little over 1/4 of the rideshare market based on gross bookings, a close enough approximation. So 1/4. So in theory, if we quadruple that number of 600 to 2,400, let's round it up to 2,500 vehicles. In theory, Waymo would own the entire market of San Francisco with just 2,500 vehicles. Now, obviously, it needs to be a little bit higher, depending on service hours, downtime, maintenance, blah, blah, blah. But the estimate I included in the model in the low end is nearly 10,000. My point, Tesla can completely dominate market after market in the US with days and at most a week or so of full production from a single factory, should they choose to. Do you understand? Want more content? Early access? A bunch of perks? Click the links in the pinned comment. AG1 is awesome. I've been taking it daily now for more than 3 years. It's a great way to fill in nutritional gaps. It's packed full of vitamins, minerals, and whole food source nutrients, plus has prebiotics, probiotics, and adaptogens to improve gut health, regularity, and help your body handle stress. I'm always looking for an edge to help me feel and perform my best, which is why I haven't missed a day of AG1 for more than 3 years. Just try it and see how you feel. Click the link in the pinned comment or head to drinkag1.com/SMR and get yourself a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3 plus K2 and 5 travel packs.